Hello and a warm welcome back to the When Dirt Cast with your hosts, me Jimbo and Calvinator. And as always, we're going to be discussing the XMFL updates, transfers, developments, and all the juicy stuff that's happened over the last week or so. One important note, none of what we ever chatted about is financial advice. Just got to get that out there. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse Football. Last week, we discussed the Breakaway. But what's the Breakaway leading to? The season one. So I think there's a lot of planning involved for season one and preparation. So we thought, why not do an episode on season one preparation? Maybe we'll discuss some things that you as managers or agency owners may have not thought about yet.
Yes, because the subtitle of the Breakaway announcement was like Road to Season 1. And as we discussed last week, the Breakaway is really already preparing you in some ways, changing your mindset.
The nudge.
The nudge, exactly, our hashtag, is nudging you already to think a bit differently about how you're playing the game. It's already preparing you a little bit for Season 1. So we thought we might as well kind of continue that story and talk properly how to prepare for Season 1, like what will be different, what's changing, and then how can you, what should you do maybe based on that.
Yeah.
Also a bit of speculation maybe, some things can still change, there might be new elements, but I think it will be good discussion from the points that kind of we wrote down together, like what we want to talk about. I think it will be very interesting.
Yeah,
so.
And the feedback from last week, a lot of people liked the points we made about the Breakaway, the different approach and things to consider. So I think this almost branches on from that directly. And there's so many different approaches to season one, so many things to consider. So look, why not we'll brainstorm them and we'll have our says on them.
Yes, exactly. So more about it later. First, the updates and the personal journey and our MFL moment of the week. So Jimbo, what's your moment of this week?
Well, it's been a pretty quiet week for myself on MFL really, because it's sort of just been, a bit of scouting, a bit of testing, and I was doing a bit of testing. Taggart was doing testing on my Wyverns, and I think he played like 4 or 5 games. I just didn't win any of them, and I messaged you and went, I don't think I can't get any grips with this new engine update that we had on Friday. Friday was it? And then I changed the formation, changed a couple of tactics or team instructions, and I've now won the last 4 out of 5, scoring on average about 3.5 goals a game. So I think that just goes to show things can change very quickly. You can sometimes figure things out, you sometimes not figure things out, and you'll never ever fully get to grips with the engine. But our moment of the week is that I just got lucky and changed a few things.
It worked
against one team, but I've now probably got to play about 15, 16 teams. Next Breakaway, so it means bugger all, right?
Exactly. Now you know maybe how to beat this one team, but also now you're announcing that. So probably now, when you do play that team, he's also going to do something else. But yeah, it goes to show that it does matter, right? For you, changing that tactical setup, that formation. I mean, if you win 5 in a row, does 4 in a row, that does mean something. Like you first lose 4 in a row and then you win, so engine matters.
Yeah. And the one game I lost 5-4, and in my mind that's a bit of you don't really count that game. That's just an absolute goal fest where neither defence and neither goalkeeping was on fine form, just as absolute crazy goals.
No, exactly. So interesting. Do your testing, let's say.
Exactly, mate. How about you? Had any specific moments to?
Yeah, so in terms of matches, it was pretty quiet, but we do have the Breakaway coming up, and as we talked about last week, it kind of forces you to rebuild something. With my 8 teams, I had to do some shuffling around, some rebuilding, and while doing that, I also had some realizations. So all leagues and cups are based on team average, right? On the best 11. So what you don't want. I felt what I don't want is that you have some kind of higher players that bump up your average. So you'll be against more difficult opposition. But I think if you then have a very unbalanced team, you don't want that. I also wanted my Navigators and Calva Juniors who won a cup before or league before to be a bit stronger. So I moved some players from my bronze team there. But then again, you have to take into account this average. So it was a bit like rebuilding and realizing, about this average, but also, do you want to have then a very good goalie? Or do you want to have a better striker? Or do you want to have everyone bang average, kind of totally on the same level? So it was like, I was like playing around with that the whole week. And like I have now one team, my bronze team, that I kind of, can you say, cannibalized? Like I took a lot of players from them. They have now 2 very good strikers, but the rest is a bit bad. The ones in the Alpha Champions, I try to balance them, like that they're very balanced. I think that's better. And some others, they are just a bit of all over the place with a couple of very strong positions another week. So I'm very curious to see which team will do better. Let's say which formula would work. What about like Wensum? How is that looking? Is it very balanced, or is it more a couple of stronger positions?
Well, I said in last episode, when you asked me about what I'm going to do, my answer was I'm going to change things up. But then later on in the episode, I said, well, actually, what's the point of changing things up? Because the Wyverns do well in the Cups most seasons. So that, to me, shows that the team performs well against similar opposition anyway. So, if anything, I've probably slightly downgraded, not by choice, but by like just transfers and scouting and how contracts ending end of last season and the availability of other players has sort of hampered me a bit. But
yeah, now, and I have my little bonus moment following up from this. So I have this 83 rated cam. I also posted him in like the player buy sell channel, because I just want to kind of get rid of him. I have no use for. He's like super high dribbling, but then the passing and shooting is not the best. And I use a cam only in Black Sea, and their average is like 77, 78. If I put an 83 cam in there, it's gonna mess up this average.
that's just good,
so I was like, I'm gonna get rid of him, but I still wanted to play for some team. So I thought, let's just put like 4%, any division, whatever. Let's see who signs him. And then after 3%, Ancient signed him. After 3 minutes, after 3 minutes, Ancient already signed him. So this this shows like how active the transfer market is. That some people are really refreshing, scouting, see if there's a couple of new deals. So they went really fast. And I just told you before the pod, I have like a bunch of guys, like 59 or lower left. I just put 0.1%, whatever. Let's see if they get some playing time in the Breakaway team. If they can help some new users, I'm happy to help them. So let's see if I can get rid of all my guys before the transfer window ends in 17 hours when recording.
Yeah, it'll be over by the time you listen to by the time we're listening to this.
So, okay, dev updates time, because a lot is happening, of course. You already mentioned the new engine. So this is version 5. It was deployed this on Friday, right? So some global rebalancing. They focused on the amount of, let's say, shots and goals. People kind of, like, the main feedback was there's not so many shots and goals, so that should be better. Also the impact of the wingers and realism in terms of some defensive play, clearances, etc. So check out the full patch notes if you want more info on this new engine, and do your testing, of course. Another big chunk of time has been spent on the wheel. So one big element of the Breakaway is that for each win you get a ticket and you get to spin the wheel. So this needs to be, the wheel needs to be ready for all those tickets and all the spinning. And it should be ready right now. It should be finished. Then play progression, a lot of testing going on in the background. Of course, this needs to be ready for Season 1. Then match stats in the HQ. Really cool little feature that now directly in your HQ player page, you can see how many goals are scored, assists, player ratings of all your players you have. So not just on your team page, but overall agency, let's say stats. So that's really cool to see who's your best player. Last activity filter was also requested. There's a couple of agents who are not really active, and now you can filter that in the scouting page. And finally, some bugs have been fixed and some code has been improved. So that's always good to hear. Any reactions, Jimbo? What do you like the most about those updates?
I think the quick comment on the engine update. You can see there's been an update to it from watching the 2D visual, which I guess really shows the power of being able to see everything on the pitch at once. The clearances out from defence you can notice, and the overall, I feel, attacking flow or just the flow of the engine seems slightly quicker as well, but it also seems more realistic in terms of how the 2D looks. But I guess that's not. It kind of is the engine.
Yeah. It's the engine basis shows that, right?
The 2D just shows what the engine's doing. But it yeah, and there are a few things I've noticed like that, which is great. And obviously excited for the wheel as well. I feel like maybe we could do a couple of streams throughout the breakaway where we just hoard our own tickets and then just do a big old spin and see what we can get. Yeah.
To spin all the wheels.
Just a big dump of wheels, yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. I also thought of just buying like another team and then stack it with like 49 rated comments I have left, just to maximize wheel tickets. Just have more chances of winning and more tickets. So maybe that was Make Think's strategy all along. Just have maximize on the wheel tickets.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. You'll have hundreds.
Then season update Diamond League. Well, that has been that's over for a long time. Finished. So also no match of the week because it's a little break before we start playing competitive matches again. But while there are no official matches going on, of course, there's lots of testing, a lot of friendlies, and some communities have organized their own little tournaments. For example, the Spanish community is playing a little kind of their own preseason tournament organized by Messi, 0-0, not Lionel. Yeah,
Messi.
He's secretly running some Twitter accounts and
Wow.
hosting MFL friendlies.
Better.
Also, the French community, RZH Sorare, and also Thai 11. They are organizing like a little duo tournament of like two managers together with like double teams. Also interesting. And of course, We the Peaks logo competition is still going on. So there's enough competition. But on Tuesday, there will be finally the first matches. So when you listen to this in one day, there will be matches again. And a lot of them, right? I think there was like maybe 2 a day, sometimes 3 a day, possibly.
Yeah, we'll have to see, won't we? It could be, I'm looking forward to it. It's good to get the competitive matches back in.
Yeah, like if you have a Cup, League, and an Alpha Champions.
And Rapid as well.
You could have like 10 matches in a day if you have the Rapid in one day. So there's enough. Will you do some Rapid actually? Or are you going to spend some MFL? You have some MFL left for that?
I have some MFL left for that. I'm away in Spain and Portugal for a couple of days, so depending on when they fall on, I might really not have time to. But I will, depending on the caps, I probably will. The Wyverns now sit at 798, so I can sneak into the 800 and feel confident about it, rather than being like 20 over or 70 under. So if an 800 pops up, Wyverns could be interesting.
The Navigators are now also like 794 or something, so we might both try to enter the same one and let's see see what happens there. So yeah, that will be really cool to finally play this breakaway, and hopefully we'll get a lot of tickets and we can do a little live stream with spinning the wheel tons of times. Then market moves. We have about, I would say, 6-7 new managers, but maybe it's not a lot of quantity, but I feel like it's a lot of quality. And I'll tell you why, because loads of them are also active on Twitter, or they have big Sorare accounts, or they have other types of like Web3 accounts. For example, MJ Gaming, maybe you saw him. You've seen him?
Yes, I've seen him on Twitter. Yeah, we follow each other actually. Not before MFL, but I saw he was tweeting about it, so I gave him a follow and then followed back sort of thing.
Yeah. So he bought his first club and he bought some first guys.
Yeah, Joggler, wasn't it? It was an Irish club, wasn't it?
Yeah, his first team. Also, Score Advice or FC or Deek, maybe you saw those names. Polo also, and Thomas Plades. But my new user of the week is Detroit Bad Boy, who was also active in general, asking for American players. Actually, he packed Columbus, Ohio. So he wanted an American club, and he packed an American club. That's already pretty good.
Did he actually pack it?
I think he packed it, yeah. From what
sweet.
I didn't see the transaction. So I think he really packed Columbus.
Nice.
So very close
it was after
to
Detroit or Columbus.
Detroit.
Yeah.
And he also bought an All-American team with some American rares, uncommons, and also commons. So he also spent already quite a bit on a nice All-American squad there representing Columbus. So yeah, a couple of new US users, but also some German users. So that's good to see. Then market moves, common, uncommon, or let's say bulk buying. Vulrak Agency, before he tried to kind of pitch this academy project. Maybe you remember that, Jimbo?
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
people were like kind of... I thought it was a bit harsh. Like he tried something and people were like, why the hell would we give players to you? Although for me, it kind of makes sense, like 0%, and then he plays them for you of like guaranteed progression. So it's but okay. Anyway, before it also seemed like he was like leaving, but now he's back and he was buying tons of $1 commons, scraping the floor. Also took over some other agency with a lot of like 0.01, let's say 1 cent players, let's call them, kind of trades. So he's been, it seems like he's setting up his own academies and playing those commons in there.
Nice.
Then rare players, a name I don't say a lot here, Caesar. I don't know if it's Julius, but...
could be, all salad.
Reincarnation. But also interesting strategy and purchases. So he first had a 83 rated Dutch center midfielder. So of course Dio had to buy him for 300. And then he used that money to buy younger players. So the Dutch CM was 24. But then he bought a 16-year-old 79 rated right mid for 250 USD, 250. And also an 18-year-old 81 left back for like 200. So he sold an 83 rated, who's 24, for 2 younger players, 79, 80, 81. So that's interesting. If you think down the line in six MFL years, that makes sense. You're kind of selling this 83 rated for, and then buying a 79 or 81. Do you think within 6 years you can bridge that?
Potentially, yeah. I think it's also you don't. I was going to say, one way of looking at it, it's like kicking the can down the road a bit in terms of you don't have to really pick it up. You don't have to think about decisions or think about how many years he's got left for a lot longer. So you've got more utility with him. So
yeah, you have more playing years out of him too.
Yeah,
I think that's an element not everyone's realizing. Like apart from just young players having the potential to become better, they also have just more years you can use them.
Yeah.
So it's like a double-edged sword, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, let's finish this up. Legendary players. I saw none other than Splash, which you will announce in a second.
Yep.
And clubs, J Chief bought Coventry bronze for 225 USD. So nice to see some new players moving into bronze, and bronze clubs selling for around that price. Let's say the floor is moving a little bit again, especially for the higher tier clubs, I would say. Over to you.
Over to me. Thank you very much. Right, everyone, let's hit it. Splash of the week. Nice splash this week. Crazy Colt. The return of Crazy Colt, purchasing an 18-year-old 85 rated left back from Joe B for $649. The little French on French transaction going on here. Oh, crikey, mate.
Nice pronunciation.
I was just going to call him Leon. Probably like Leonidas.
Yeah, I say
Leonidas.
Tike.
Yeah. It's Leonidas. Yeah, the I's and the E's. But yeah, 85 rated 18-year-old. Great age. Sorry. 82 pace, 80 pacing, 84 dribbling, 88 defense, and 83 physical. 6'2" as well. Bit of a beastly left back. Bit of a beastly left back.
Well, what do you think of the price? Is it a bit undervalued, overvalued, or like underpriced, overpriced?
I think it's so hard to tell these days. Sometimes we're like an 85 rated, but I think, I don't really know. The fact I'm questioning if it's overpriced or underpriced probably means it's correctly priced. Maybe within like $50 either way. I think $650 seems expensive. $649, cool, that's cheap. It's that classic marketing pricing strategy, right?
But for 18 years old, I think it could have been a little bit higher, but maybe some French. The French
maybe we're looking, look into this guy's stats on his player page, and he has some stinky performances over the last couple of seasons. The data approach rather than just the price approach. We don't know, but already signed up. I'm not sure he was originally signed up for Queso Shos, but could have been. But he'll be rocking in that Plat squad for the Breakaway.
Although now also there's a diamond team, right, for Crazy Cult you could use.
I
think Queso Shos won a trophy. So that's why. So he'll be active in Alpha Champions.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, so that Ortia team definitely doesn't have a trophy.
Yeah, I think that's why it's going. So, but yeah, Crazy Cult is again making moves. He's quickly becoming one of the biggest moguls if he keeps going with this pace. So nice to see. He loves it. Then IRL, MFL. Do you have some usually FPL right, fantasy, Premier League related?
So I'm going to make it FPL related, but first of all, I'm going to say that the Brighton-Tottenham game is currently going on right now, and it's 2-0 Tottenham at half-time. Can you guess the score now, Calva?
Well, last time I checked, it was 2-2. So is it then a 4-2 for Brighton or something?
It's 3-2 Brighton. 3-2. So within 21 minutes, they had completely turned it around. So I found that quite funny, because it's always funny to laugh at Tottenham.
Our favourite NFT player is playing.
Minter.
My MFL joke.
Yes, you little Minter. Yakuza Minter.
Nice to see him play well. As Feyenoord, he was also very nice.
Yes, but I will just shout out, at the current time of recording, the top of the MFL FPL league is Hillard Harriers FC, managed by Mike Hillard. So I'm not sure if that's Harriers as in, I can't remember what his username is now in the Discord, but if it's the same Harriers as that, congrats, you are currently on 481 points this season, 21 better than second, which is huge. So congrats to you. That's my IRL FPL.
No tips for
international break coming up. Try not to make transfers too early because players might get injured, that sort of thing. So maybe wait a bit. You might want to try and, we always want to try and beat the price match, the price rises and price fallers, but until everything's finished and the international break's over, don't rush to buy or sell players.
Don't kind of submit your lineup too quickly.
Yeah. Don't make transfers too early, sort of thing.
Okay, fair enough. My moment is from the Liverpool game. Liverpool played Palace. They won 1-0. Yeah. But before, in general, in the Discord, I don't know who it was. I think Archbishop. I think that's the name, right? Archbishop. He's like a new user.
Yeah.
And he was asking about how many goalies do I need? Because he didn't sign a second goalie for his whole season.
Yeah, I remember now.
So he was kind of, had a problem. That he, in the end, he had like a goalie with 20% energy level. So it was like, how many do I need? Well, of course, you need 2 right now. But then we said maybe with injuries or suspensions, you might need 3. So with the Liverpool game, Alisson was in goal. Gallagher, I don't know if he's injured. I think he was injured. He was not there.
I don't know.
And then Alisson was injured. So then the third goalie had to come in. And also a nice name for you to pronounce, Vítězslav Jaroš from the Czech Republic.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one. Thanks, mate.
Jaroš, he did well. He managed to kind of get that 1-0 over the line. Some good saves. So Liverpool fans were happy that also their third goalie is pretty good. So maybe in the future MFL, you need your third goalies. I was planning for that all along with my goalkeeper agency. So if you need any goalies in the future, there will be suspensions or injuries, you know where to find me.
Yep. The monopolizing the goalkeeper market, that's what we're trying to do, isn't it?
4D chess again. Okay, speaking about possible
4D
suspensions, injuries, 4D chess. Yeah, this is also like 4D chess. How to prepare, or start preparing, I would say, for season 1. Because it will be totally different in multiple ways, I would say.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to discuss all about that now, how to prepare. And we kind of have 3 sections. So first is like what will be different compared to alpha seasons. And then based on those new things, like which changes do you need to make to your agency, your clubs, or maybe your gameplay?
Yeah.
And finally, what are like some possible or probable, I also wrote down like new features that might change things that you also have to reconsider those changes you just made.
No.
So let's start with like what will be different. And then the first thing I would say is higher rewards. Also a question often asked right now in the chat. A certain Profound Soda already asked twice about it.
Yeah.
Like what will be the rewards? We've been speculating with Frajoko about it. What would you say right now?
I think the general consensus is people think it will rise by about 5-6x, don't they? I think minimum. I think that's what people maybe think. I even think it could be higher. But it all depends on, I guess, the utility for MFL. If there's different ways to spend it, then you can kind of give more because they can get more back from people spending them on packs or spending them on, the rapid play or tournament entries or things like that, right? But I think 5 to 6, I think 5 at a minimum. I think that's where I'm going. That's what I'm sort of confident with.
Yeah. Now it's really one of the hardest decisions the team has to make. If you kind of make them too high, you get like the market will crash, right? There will be some kind of inflation, and then people can get so many players that maybe the price of players will drop. And
you can go all mathsy on it, can't you? You can start doing all the, if you win Diamond League, for example, how much do you get? Should it be enough to replenish? Should it be enough for, say, an average legendary player off the marketplace? Should it be enough for you to be able to get an extra player or recoup? It's that sort of piece, isn't it? Like, I think it's the text where it says significantly reduced, and I think the word significantly, I always want to say 5x, but part of me thinks significantly, that's a big word, in terms of change, significantly. So are we out of our mind to maybe suggest like a 10? A 7 seems a bit too random a number. 5 seems a nice number. So does 10. So I think it's one of the two.
10 sounds pretty crazy.
10 sounds crazy, but
Well, let's say they're 10, and then I could get like 10 rare players after one season. Because now I could get 1 rare player. So then I would be able to, if I perform the same, would get like 10 rare players or like 50 uncommon. I feel like that sounds... I think if you then do that every season and replace them.
Do you not think, though, that the individual player packs will increase by some point as well to reflect the changes in rewards? So say if rewards go up 10x, will the price of a rare pack go up by 5x? That sort of thing. It
is possible.
I don't.
Well, I think they have like a couple of buttons to play with. So MFL now acts a bit like the central bank, right? Like kind of setting the rates and are they cutting rates or increasing rates?
Oh my god, man!
And then some economics
soft landing
101 here. No, but. And they have like a couple of things to manipulate, so they can or increase rewards or decrease rewards. But when they announce them for season 1, I think going lower will be tough to sell. So then maybe to compensate, they can change store prices. So that will be then their second thing to control kind of the economy, the MFL economy. You don't want to crash it. You want to keep it healthy.
Yeah.
So, yes. So it's like Matt and Yakster, a bit like Jerome Powell, kind of setting rates and controlling that. But yeah, so this one thing, rewards will be definitely higher.
Yes.
And this, of course, you have to take this into consideration while making choices. So more about it later.
So the second big thing we know coming to season 1 is player progression and aging. Often nicknamed and the clock is ticking. Or is a ticking time bomb? It's a bit too drastic. But our players now start aging and they can now start progressing. And player progression is a massive mechanic within MFL. Calver, do you reckon you could explain like I'm 5 in 1 minute what player progression is? Or do you think that's too much of a task?
Explain to a layman. Yeah, I think this is almost like Conference League levels of complexity, or that's how it feels. But simply put, let's say all players, they have 2 hidden attributes. They have longevity, so how long they will keep playing before they retire, and they have the potential. So how much can they progress potentially? So some can, if you do the right things, they can progress by, say 15 points, let's say 2% will maybe reach that, or maybe even only 5 points. So that's the potential they have and the longevity they have. And yeah, the time starts ticking, as you said, so players will get older even if you don't use them at all, because that's just how the game works. Now, how can you, let's say, what will impact their progression is the competition, let's say the other teams they play, and also the training, like with their own teammates. So what will slow it down is if they are training with guys that are way worse than them, and if they are competing in the league against guys that are kind of really bad, and it's not a challenge for them. So ideally what you want to have 100% kind of efficiency is that they are at the same level or a little bit lower, and then they get the max XP, and all this XP that you accumulate will transform into higher attributes. I don't know if that was good in 1 minute. It is hard, but yeah, you have to. So later on we talk about strategies and what you change.
Yeah.
So you really need to consider, is my talented guy facing enough challenges and like good opposition that he will improve, and is that also in the training, is he facing enough resistance in training that he will improve?
Yeah.
So you can imagine if Messi is not the right example, but say a random player from Norwich, if he's only training with toddlers and is playing in the toddler league and scoring 100 goals, he's not going to get any better at football.
Well, I mean, you could have gone Messi and said Messi in MLS. Like, he doesn't progress.
Yeah,
I know he's end of his career, but he doesn't progress by playing in the MLS because the competition's pants and the team he plays with pants.
He's already old, but let's say Messi 10 years ago, he would have gone to MLS.
Yeah.
He would not progress because it's just too easy.
Yeah, retirement league.
Retire, yeah. So it's like for him, he's now having fun. Even Suarez has a grandpa with a stick. He can still score some goals. So they're already old, but yeah, they're also not progressing. So you need to make sure when building your agency, considering like this fact that like the talents or the players I want to develop, are they gonna get max XP from the training and matches or not?
Yeah.
So later on we can kind of debate this, like how can you?
Yeah, we've got a couple of things to cover off with it.
And then the final thing that is different, your favorite topic, most drama possible.
Promotion
and relegation.
Yes. Oh boy, am I excited for this. The emotions will be high, the chaos will be high. It'll be probably an absolute, to use the term, clusterfuck for a couple seasons while things balance themselves out. And the Thanos knuckle does his business, making as balanced as they should be.
Yes, and it will be a lot of drama for sure.
Yeah.
And I would also say it's pretty tough. I don't know if you know the Brazilian league relegation. It's like 4 teams, I think. But in MFL, it's also 3. I think the bottom 3 relegate, and then the spot above that, like 9th spot, that is like a playoff.
Yeah.
So in a league of 12, if you are part of the bottom 4, you have a problem. That's already quite tough.
I think the interesting thing we still need to get a little bit of information on is how inactive clubs will affect relegation within leagues. Because is there supposed to be a quota of amount of teams that go down if clubs get automatically relegated because they're not in a competition? How does that affect other teams being relegated and other teams being promoted to balance things out? That sort of piece as well.
Yeah. I think what would be fair is okay, there's a little bit off topic, but how to fix this, I think just contact the owners and saying like, okay, your licenses and clubs, if you don't do anything, they will be kind of auto established and then just auto registered and put in some league. And then if you don't sign enough players on time, it will just be a 3-0 forfeit and guaranteed relegation.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of a fair way, I would say, that you warn them,
I think hypothetically it's
spread
a good
out
way,
over all leagues.
But I think because someone owns the NFT as an asset, I don't think you can automatically register them in for something. That was a whole debate with the Euros, wasn't it? About someone else using your NFT, even if you didn't want, if maybe you intentionally not want to play MFL, and MFL went, now we're going to register your club. That might get a bit,
That's tough.
That's a whole different street and avenue.
Yeah, I think this.
We'll keep on topic here.
Yeah, but let's say all leagues get filled up and they're all good teams. Yeah, you need to make sure you're not bottom 4 or you have a problem.
Yeah.
So even with a bit of bad luck, you can end up in that zone, which is like 1/3 of the teams. It's quite a big zone. So in the Premier League, it's 3 out of 20. Here, 4 out of 12. So it's good to realize that. And it's harder to promote. I think only number 1 direct and second playoff by heart. So
because of how the pyramid sort of works and that.
Yeah, because of exactly. So it's tough to promote and it's very easy to relegate. Like this is good to remember inside the pyramid. Okay, so rewards will be higher, between 5 to 10, we estimate. Players will get older for sure, and if you use them, they will progress by getting XP, and your teams might promote and relegate based on what you did. So now, taking those 3 things, based on those changes, like what changes do you need to make to your agency, clubs, and gameplay? And then first, I would say you have to set some priorities. Like, what do you want to achieve with your agency and with your clubs?
I agree. I think fundamentally you have to ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish in season 1? How do you want to play MFL? And
yes,
you've noted down a couple of things here which I think are really good, different ways of looking at it. So one could be, are you going to focus on player progression? I think everyone will focus on player progression, but could you solely focus on it maybe like an academy point of view? Maybe your league standing, avoiding relegation, mid-table finish, promotion. That will influence how you probably set up yourself for season 1. There's also the approach of how do you maximize your MFL intake, maximize your USD value of your players through player progression and being smart with that. Or ultimately, the last one here is just having fun and I guess winning as many games as possible and just rising a club up and being the owner of a club and what all that encompasses. So there's many different approaches to how you can set up to play MFL, and it's about understanding what you want to accomplish, which determines how you're going to set your club out, I think is a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and I think for each of them, there is like a couple of good things about it and a couple of sacrifices you need to make. So let's say we talk about player progression. Like, can you realistically kind of max out on your player progression and get promoted and win the league and get as much MFL as possible? Do you think that's possible, or do you have to make some sacrifices?
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible because if you're maxing out player progression, so we're talking at least 80% of games being played, you're being relative strength towards the rest of the league for your players and how they perform in matches, and also just as a team, the potential hindrance of player progression XP from training. There's so many variables that influence player progression, and probably one of the sacrifices you've got to make is not winning every game. Because if you've got a super, super strong squad that gets promoted, chances are it's above quality for the rest of the league. Therefore, you're going to lose out on match XP. That's the obvious one that comes to mind.
Yeah, and you also said 80%. They play 80% of the matches. So your subs are already going to suffer.
Yeah.
Right? So you already within your team have to kind of sacrifice some player progression.
Yeah.
And then if that's already one decision you need to make. Which players in my team are not going to progress as much? So are you then gonna start a 16-year-old just because you want to get him more XP, and you're gonna sacrifice the 28-year-old who's better, right? Maybe if you go max progression, you prefer younger players to start, while older players you bench more, although they might be better. So that's already one. Like, are you gonna play talents just for the sake of progression, or are you gonna play your best players for the sake of winning?
Yeah. There is a scenario, though, where you can max out progression, still win the league, if the league is a very similar in strength. If the league is very similar in strength and the competition is similar, then someone's going to win the league and probably get really good progression as well. But if you want to stomp the league, like smash it, Man City 4 years in a row, PSG most of the time in Liga, and Bayern most of the time, those sort of scenarios, you're going to have to sacrifice some progression. Yeah, you're going to sacrifice some progression. But I think the approach for sub-managers is that they don't mind that for a season or two if they know they can get promoted. They're happy to have that sacrifice.
Yeah, that's, let's say, the second point. If you are prioritizing promotion and that's your main goal, just stack that team. You have to stack it.
Yeah.
If you want to have the biggest chance at promotion, you have to just put loads of top guys. But then the sacrifice is that you give up some player progression XP, and your talents aren't getting any better because they face very easy opposition. So that's like a trade-off. If you have very good players and you put them in Iron and you just want to get out of Iron as fast as possible. So that's, you cannot have all, and especially you just said, like, okay, it is possible in a scenario where there's not too many differences between the average of all teams. But especially what we'll see, I think, in season 1, 2, and 3, as you said, is like this craziness of like loads of teams moving through the pyramid, like from Iron to Silver, and some go from Silver to Iron, because right now the way, like what we saw before, like there's huge differences in the leagues.
Yeah, we'll probably see player progression first couple of seasons be a bit odd because of the imbalances within divisions and leagues. Yeah,
I think in the ideal scenario, what MFL wants is like kind of like you would have now in IRL, right, with like Premier League and then Championship, League 1, League 2, that all teams are kind of similar level.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe Wrexham was like the example of a team who prioritizes promotion.
Yeah.
But everyone's like pretty similar, and then so also overall the progression sacrifice is not too big. But maybe in the first seasons, if you go for promotion, it will be bigger. So are you going straight for that promotion?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say your goal is maxing like maxing out or like trying to get the maximum amount of MFL possible, so you can get most players in the store. Would that change things, or is that kind of the same as
I think
promotion?
everyone's. I think if you're going for promotion and going for trophies and winning, then the MFL comes with that, right? Because you've earned the place, the standing, therefore you get the increased MFL.
Although, little. Okay, let's take Park Street Maple. I don't know if Taggart, if you're listening, but he has some legendaries in silver, which he could loan out to Plat and Diamond.
Yeah.
So maxing, if you want to max MFL, I think you should loan out all those Legos to Plat and Diamond teams. No, isn't it the way to get maximum?
Yeah. I think there's two elements here. Is the club
or
owner?
long term.
If you look at it, is in terms of I know I agree with you. Loaning out is better. But obviously, you're looking at it from a club ownership perspective and an agency perspective. A club owner might want to just max out MFL that way. The Taggart one's a slight unique example because I'm pretty sure Park Street Maple is legendary. Is like his friend owns it and he wants to be part of the team, so it will be with them. If that makes sense. But if that wasn't the case, then it would make sense to loan them out to gain more MFL. But if
it's fair. Like you can have a shorter kind of timeline or longer timeline. So if we use Plat Street Maple, no, Park Street Maple, and they want to go to Plat, then in 2 seasons, after stacking it for 2 seasons, then they are in Plat, and then the club also makes a lot of MFL by competing in Plat. So yeah, that's like other things to consider. Maybe you have 1 or 2 in your agency, very, very good players. You should loan them out to max out.
Yeah, from an agency point of view, you should always be to get the greatest MFL revenue each season. You should be loaning out all your players to the most competitive division they can play in. Well, yeah, because they'll get the highest earnings in those places. So that's so anti-stack. Anti-stack, anti-strength creep. Yeah, that's basically the way to look at it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's. I think for everyone this will be unique. It's very hard to, but there's really a lot of angles now you need to, and priorities you need to set and decisions to make. It will get very interesting. Okay, so Max, if you want to get the maximum USD value out of your
not financial advice.
Not financial advice.
I think it's.
But let's say that's your main goal is to just increase the value of your assets, or what
that
would be smart?
Should be the player progression route, no? Because that's where you've got to decipher, is the jump in price between club divisions more or less than what you can progress on players? If it is more, go for promotion and then sell the club on and redo it, that sort of thing. But if you're in a competitive league with a well-rounded team, player progression might be the way to do it. But there's so much speculation because we don't know. We know how player progression works, but we know how it pans out as a user. And season 1 with increased rewards, probably increase in users with the marketing push, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then everything we say now will probably be completely irrelevant because the whole environment has changed. But it would be player progression, right? In my mind,
values change.
Change.
I think player progression is one route, but maybe you can also have a team of you have 18 players and they are like the promotion A team. And you can hire them for a certain rev share. Or you just buy a club, you buy an iron, you put your promotion A team in there, you get them promoted, you sell it again, you buy another iron team, you get promoted, you sell the bronze team. Maybe this is like a way to generate some value also. Depends a bit on the club prices. But the value of your clubs will of course increase with promotion.
Yeah.
So that's another angle. The promotion route is another angle to increase the value of club assets. Well, of course, player assets get are worth more with the player progression route.
Mm-hmm.
But then depends again on the market for clubs and for players.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
No, that's the thing. There's so much to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
There could be a couple of features announced the next 2, 3, 4 weeks that change how all of that looks like. You know, we're just talking about what we know is confirmed and what we know is going to be present in season 1.
Yes. Yeah, and then the final thing, the role play as a real club or just having fun. So let's say you are Wensum, you try to run it as Norwich would, like an IRL, like as a real football club.
Try and be sustainable. Just player progression, sell, try and go up, get some rewards for coming last. Hope that rebuilds some of it when you come back down. I think the fun element is, well, to be fair, for most people, fun is just winning games, right?
Yeah.
So
it could be also more fun if you forget about like now we talk it's like kind of all data point of view with very kind of gold point. It's just like, how can I get the maximum amount of MFL or dollars or player progression? But if you just have your club, let's say Wensum, you care about Wensum, you just want Wensum to become the best MFL or do let's say you have the best season, get promoted, try to build with that, and you trying to ignore all the other things. You just try to make it the best club in MFL, kind of like a real football manager, right? On Football Manager, you also care the most that you do, you have like great seasons and slowly build this legacy and get this club to diamonds, and then you maybe. Of course, you have to take care of like money and income and MFL and finances, but ultimately, it's just about the club.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also about the club. And I think the whole sustainability piece as well. I think if you want to be able to compete, you're probably going to have to not invest or put money into MFL. But some people probably be able to free ride it for a bit because of how long they've been in the OGs and things like that. But unless there'll be a small group that maybe can, with promotion, with player progression, can make a club completely sustainable. But I think there will have to be some maybe slight injection of money into it. And that's how ultimately their economy will work as well, you know, to promote that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's another point to consider for rewards. I think it's not possible for everyone to be sustainable, but at least to be sustainable if you just do a little bit better than average. That can be a nice reward that you're now also sustainable with your club.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's also a goal for some, maybe, just to keep playing it sustainably there. Yeah, so overall, to kind of summarize this section is that, make a choice. What is really your priority or your goal? Is it player progression? Is it promotion? Is it avoiding relegation? Is it getting as much MFL or as much dollars? Or you just try to kind of combine them together into just, trying to do the best, what's best for your club and being a football manager approach. You already have, what would you do? Like to say, for example, would you play young players more because you want to get as much XP, or you rather like have a great finish or promote even to bronze?
I'll probably put younger players in more, but I think ultimately I will just want to maximize player progression and maybe my MFL intake regardless of age. Like, the age doesn't really come into it a bit. If someone's 16 versus 20, I still want them to both progress equally, so I'm probably going to play in the same amount. But obviously, there'll be a slight bias towards young players. I'll probably do player progression. Mine will be a combination of just having fun, playing for fun, just winning games, trying to get promoted ultimately. Maximising. Mine will be a combination of all of them and try not to get relegated is basically what my plan is going to be. It's going to be a combination of everything. Every most people's approach will be just everything. and see how it goes. And see how
exactly.
it goes.
Unless you're common farming or those kind of
yeah, unless you've
clubs.
set a strategy, yeah.
Yeah, but I think for most, exactly, it will just be kind of growing organically, trying to do what's best, what feels best. Yeah, another couple of, let's say, possible things you need to start doing, apart from thinking about your priorities and your goals and what you try to achieve. I wrote like, maybe it might be worth it to already start working on your network, kind of your trusted agents and your trusted managers.
Yep.
Because considering player progression,
I think even more than that, the fact that contracts are being reset means for a lot of managers and ones that I've had chats with, you shouldn't. Your mind should now be on season 1, not the breakaway. It should be on season 1. I had someone contact me asking me for a player, and he said, "You want to sell him?" I went, "No, I don't want to sell him. He's in my plans for the Wyverns." I said, "But I'm happy to give him to you for the breakaway season if you want him on loan. I can deal with that sort of thing." And he said, "No, I want to have the breakaway as being my season 1 team so he can go into it." Because contracts get reset, that networking bit is going to be absolutely critical in you obtaining back some of those players from that you currently had, that sort of thing. That's going to be carnage at the same time as well. But it's a nice reset that everyone will have access to players who may have been previously on inactive teams or those sort of pieces. So
that's a whole other thing we didn't even write down. That all contracts will be reset,
which makes total sense. I remember asking this on the pod like 6 weeks ago, and I'm glad it's now been like confirmed. I was like, do all of them get reset? I'm glad it's going to be the case.
No, but it's good. Like some people have these players from these inactive guys who didn't look for 7-8 seasons, and then suddenly that contract gets reset.
Yeah.
And you have this left back that you still need, like it's gone, for example. So it's another good point to start planning, to do a bit of planning with that. Like, do I have some guys I took for granted that will leave because his manager is inactive and doesn't care? So maybe start talking to that guy, trying to reach him. So do some networking, some planning, some long-term planning with that. Yeah, in general, I also like it's good apart from networking to just make that long-term plan. Like maybe not for season 1, but like what do you want to try to achieve in season 5? Because I think,
where do you want to be in 5 seasons? How do you get there? How can I plan now to make sure I've got the best chance of getting there?
Yeah, exactly. Like as we said, I think season 1, 2, 3 will just be chaos. The dust needs to settle.
Yeah,
teams will have to move through the pyramid, and then you need to have like some kind of place you want to go and a strategy. Any more things about the planning or tips or?
I do just think that so much, not so much of your time as a manager, but the breakaway season is just a bit of fun to get you into the spirit and nudge us and things like that. A lot of the focus should be on how you're going to prepare for season 1. And I think we've done this. We've got with what we're talking about at the moment, but we've also got, we'll probably do another maybe one more of these between now and season 1. Like more of a hard preparation of what our individual approaches are. Mine will probably change. Yours will probably change. But we want you listeners to inspire you and get those thoughts inside your brain, because these are things you don't have to consider. So hopefully you don't get absolutely, shafted when you leave it late in the transfer window. Because none of this, it's only alpha season. You don't get someone transfer window. You that can be quite detrimental if you don't get the player you want in. So I think some things to consider as well from a player progression point of view. So the training talent gap is the top 6. Is it overall the top 16 players? So you got a 25-man squad. The talent gap takes the average overall the top 16 players in primary position, which is interesting. So the misfits could have an added benefit. You've got to consider the misfit thing in there as well. And also one thing that I didn't really read much of, because this won't ever happen to me. But if a player's energy reaches below 60%, they don't earn any XP whatsoever. So if you are inactive, you are really stuffed for player progression, which goes back to the whole networking piece and who you're going to loan players out to. Do your due diligence and figure out, is there a chance this person going active for second half of season? If that drops below 60%, you could be in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. This is part of the network also.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for sure these guys will play through the whole season, not give up in the middle and not play your guy anymore.
Yeah.
It'd be really bad. But you really, what we said last time with the nudge, start thinking about those team averages because they will impact player progression. So now you've played around with that a little bit already. Start thinking about, what do you want to achieve? So do some planning. We planted the seed now in your head. Start thinking about it.
And I think I know some people like Bastis with his website. You know, you can see like what the cap is for your team. You can, when there's the projections, you've got the top 11 and those sort of things. You can do calculations yourself, but you know, ultimately there's gonna be some statistical analysis will be involved with player progression because it's a number based mechanism. So, you know, if you need to do 101 in economics, not 101 economics, 101 in statistics, it might be worth it. Just to get your head around some of it. But ultimately, everyone's in the same boat where we're not sure how it's going to pan out the first couple of seasons with player progression, promotion, relegation. We're all in the same boat there. So, but all I know, it's going to be fun. And that's the main thing. Ultimately, for me, that's the main thing.
Exactly, yeah. And there are still a couple of unknowns. So that's the final part of this episode. Just a quick, things you need to consider also. A couple of unknowns. So, the rewards, the confirmation. So 100% sure, before season 1, there will be some announcement in Discord, little pop-up, these are the rewards. And that might change how you approach, because of course it also has real value. So that might still change your strategy. I think Jax has referred to new contracts a lot, new types of contracts.
Yeah, he's referred to a bit, hinted at them, yeah.
So this, a new way of signing players, new ways of contracts, maybe with the clauses that I think would be really cool to add to it. If your player is playing 80% of those matches, that maybe you lower your ref share, so that the agent gets more progression and the club owner has a lower ref share. That might be, I think, the easiest and most requested clause in there. Yeah. So look out for those new contracts. Check what the rewards will be finally, and then the training itself. Do we fully know what it will be like? Is it also? It's not individual attributes, right? It's more overall.
It's more overall. Yeah, in terms of it's not targeted on the player progression works, where some stats increase more than others, like defense on a defender versus shooting, but training, you just earn the XP.
Yeah, it's not like you could target.
Yeah, you can't target.
Something.
No.
Yeah.
It's a single automated training mode. Yeah.
Yes, but
maybe in the future that could change.
We might get some more announcements or things, and that might change things around. So so take all of those things into consideration, and then maybe under the shower, some strategy starts to cook in your head, what do you want to. That's where the good plans or on your bike. For Dutch people, when you're cycling to school or work, that's when the good ideas start to pop up in your head of what you should do. So I think that's we gave everyone a little kind of push to start thinking about
prompting that conversation, whether it's with other managers for the networking piece, whether it's just between yourself as an agency or a club owner, prompting those thoughts and conversations to helpfully give you better preparation. Because a saying I like to have is chance favours the prepared. So your chances of promotion will be better than other people's if you're more prepared for them. And that works for most things in life. So
Nice.
inspiration
Good last words.
from the guy who made England lose 7-2 with quite a bit of preparation.
You also have bad luck, of course.
Yeah, bad luck. A different engine back then, you see, different engine back then.
Okay, it can be bad luck. It's the engine. All right, I think we're finished with this. So
yes.
We need a hashtag.
We need a hashtag.
Thought about it?
We need that. It's coming to that time of the episode where we round things up. But before we round things up, we need to do the hashtag. And Calvin and I have probably spent off air the last 5 minutes thinking of a hashtag, because sometimes they come straight to us. Sometimes, take a little bit longer. We want to get the perfect one. This week's hashtag S1 shower thoughts. Hashtag S1 shower thoughts.
Do you need to explain why?
I was about to, but I couldn't think of the connecting word. In honour. No, not in honour. Referring to what Calvin said towards the end of the episode just then about, the shower thoughts might be the best place to think about your plans for season 1. So hashtag S1 shower thoughts. I think we're going to round things up there. You've got the hashtag. Not season 1's around. Well, it is around the corner, but the breakaway is already round the corner and it's already at us. By the time you're listening to this, if you're really keen in listening, you've still got a day till the games start. If not, breakaway's already started. So, good luck to all of you who'll be playing between now and when the next episode is out next Monday. As always, thank you all for your phenomenal support on everything with the socials, with the listing. It's been fantastic. Thank you very much. And we'll see you this time next week for another episode of the Wendet Cast. Thank you for listening.